Whether it be from Chicago to Winthrop or Winthrop to Chicago on the water, this video will give you all the key insights on how to navigate and what you'll see between these two day trip destinations. You will be enriched with the history and backstories behind many of the landmarks, and stay until the end to hear about which Chicago harbors are best suited for transients. The route between these two locations is approximately 45 miles on the Illinois-Wisconsin side of Lake Michigan and represents a very attainable day trip for recreational boaters. The first thing to note about this trip in either direction is that one can pretty much travel in a straight line to get to their destination. The coastline recedes to the west by about 20 degrees from Chicago to Evantston, and then drops further west by another 10 degrees between Evantston and Waukegan. The land then curves back to the northeast 40 degrees to complete the concave length of coastline. This is useful to note because in practice, when looking north from Chicago or south from Waukegan, you can pretty much point your bow where land meets the water on the horizon and not be far off from your intended destination for the majority of the trip. Certainly, the tall buildings of Chicago will assist your effort to navigate by sight as you close the distance. There are a number of other prominent landmarks along the shoreline between these two destinations. Water intake facilities, referred to by Chicagoans as cribs, provide the city of Chicago with its freshwater supply. Here are the locations and images of each of the existing cribs, though only two are actually in use at this time. You can use the cribs to estimate distance by sight. During this particular trip, we noticed that the city of Evantston also had two prominent barges off of its waterfront. These barges are present to renovate the 1909 underwater intake pipeline that provides the 75,000 residents of Evantston with fresh water. The city has invested over $47 million into this project, and it should be close to completion. Looking to the shoreline, Evantston can also be distinguished by Northwestern University's campus, with many prominent campus buildings visible from the water. Also, Clark Beach is just to the south of that field. Northwestern University's Sailing Center is also located on Clark Beach, so you might see a number of sailboats sailing off of that beach at any given day. Beware of confusing Clark Beach with the beach just adjacent to Winthrop Harbor, located 2 miles to the north and in front of the very distinguishable Baha'i Temple. Sailboats will likely be spotted in front of either beach. The Baha'i Temple is the only one in the United States and is one of 15 international houses of worship in the world. The religion has about 5 to 8 million followers, and they believe in the unity of humanity, the presence of one God, that all religions are generally a vehicle toward God, and that no religion should divide us. The founder of the religion was Bab, who espoused greater tolerance than was acceptable to the devout Islamic leaders of Iran at the time. He was killed for heresy in 1850. The long stretch between Evantston and Waukegan brings with it little of note, short of the land receding into a geographic convex smile with lots of greenery. Note, however, that the Great Lakes Naval Station and the Lake Forest Harbor are contained within this area. But you will be less likely to spot these locations unless you are looking for them with a keen eye. The built-up area of Waukegan will not be hard to spot from a fair distance. And on the north side of it, one will discern some taller white industrial-style warehouses and buildings. And just behind that, there will be a prominent set of smokestacks of the now retired Waukegan power plant. Waukegan is known by many Chicago sailors for Larson's boatyard and storage. This is leveraged for off-season storage by many Chicagoans. Waukegan Harbor and Yacht Club, located adjacent to Larson's, supports the city's boat enthusiasts. On the day we were heading north, the world's largest rubber duck was visiting the harbor and served as a very easy to spot and distinguishable landmark. On other days, the sailboat mast sticking up out of the harbor and marina would be a telltale for that marina's location. The stretch from Waukegan to Winthrop went by relatively quickly, as the distance between the two destinations is under 10 miles. There is what looks like an old power station along the coastline. Winthrop Harbor has an entrance pointed south. During our trip, wind was generally forecast to be light, coming from the east. The sea state was kind, but we had to rely on the motor fairly often. Here are some outtakes from the passage. All right, we have just departed Winthrop Harbor, and we are now heading toward Chicago. And once again, the winds are very light. We're looking at 4 knots at the moment, coming from the east. But as it is, we've got the iron Jenny on, and we are just kind of like waiting for the wind to fill in. That should happen as the day progresses. And this is a 7-hour, maybe 8-hour trip, and we'll just see how things unfold. One thing I'm really appreciating out here is how the sun is sparkling off the water. Let me show you. Yeah, so this is very relaxing. Even though we have to run the engine, it's still nice to be on the water. All right, so we are now sailing. We are within 2 hours of our destination. Well, I shouldn't say that because we just slowed down. The wind's about 7 knots, so we're going about 4 knots. And that might make it a 2.5-hour trip. Given where we're at, we're about 10 miles away. We can certainly see the city, and it's welcome to turn off the engine. So that's the main thing. We were doing a good 6.5 knots with the engine on and the jib out, but now we just want to enjoy sailing for a little while. So we're seeing 8 knots of breeze and 5 knots of boat speed with just the jib and the main up. We could always throw up more sail, but this is nice, relaxing sail back from Winthrop Harbor, and I think we're very satisfied with what we got. For transients spending 1 or more days in Chicago, here are some harbors to consider. Monroe Harbor is very close to the Chicago River for loopers. It's likely to have mooring ball availability. Downtown access is readily available and easily walkable. The moorings there are generally less expensive than a dock would be in Chicago. However, you would need to bring your own bridle for the mooring balls. You're going to have limited shower options. The tender station is going to be heavily accessed by local foot traffic, so the bathrooms will be a little busy. And there's going to be a little more downtown noise in that location. Burnham Harbor, just a little further south, also has great downtown access. Downtown's walkable. It's got a lot more amenities with picnic tables and barbecue areas. It's got a gas dock, but it's going to be more expensive. You're probably looking at $3 a foot to leverage a transient dock at that facility, and availability may be limited. 31st Street is the newest Chicago harbor, a little further south from Burnham or Monroe. It has lots of amenities, large, clean bathrooms, likely dock availability. The gotcha there is that you may have, is right next to a public beach, and you might have a little less security, a little more noise. There's a little bit of a downside there, but generally a newer area in Chicago. Jackson Park Harbor. That is a nice, quiet, inclusive community with great security and decent amenities. The trade-off there is that the harbor is a little shallow in spots. You could easily hit bottom. So if you have a smaller boat, this is a better option. And you're not really close to the downtown Chicago area. So it's a little less walkable, a little less things to do in that area. I want to thank my subscribers. I really appreciate your support. If you stayed for this video all the way to the end, I'd really appreciate that you hit that like button for me, because that's going to help out the channel immensely. Really appreciate it if you do that. This is Sailor Eric. Thanks for watching.